Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
What is going on, everybody? I go by RB, and this is Philly Take with RB. Like always, if you're enjoying the content of the channel, be sure to smash the like button, hit the subscribe if you're new, and ding the notification bell so you're instantly notified whenever I upload or go live. Today, we are back with another Eagles game preview. Week 5, Philadelphia Eagles, Pittsburgh Steelers, 1 p.m. on Sunday. The Steelers are 3-0. Coming off of an unexpected bye week where the Titans had tested positive, which had postponed the game, and the Steelers, a lot of people think they're going to be healthy. I actually think there could be a rust factor that sets in from this, but we'll see. On the other hand, the Philadelphia Eagles 1-2-1 and somehow in first place in the NFC East, coming off what a lot of people say would be a convincing win, maybe a win that could kind of change our season, flip the momentum, and one that showed us a lot of toughness and grit from this team. The Philadelphia Eagles put up 17 points in the second half last week. They scored their most points in a game with 25, and overall, it was a tough win because of all the guys that were out due to injury, because of the plays that were made late in this game, situational football, and the big-time winning plays. This team showed us a lot. Unsung heroes and a lot more in this game. The Eagles have to come into this game and keep up the momentum going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are a pretty good team. Like I said, they're 3-0, but at the same time, we should also realize that the Steelers have beat teams with a combined record of 1-11, and those games were actually pretty close. So even though the numbers are kind of skewed a bit because they have missed a game now, I think the Philadelphia Eagles have to come out. Obviously, these are going to be two tough games. We got the Baltimore Ravens next week. If the Eagles can take one of these next two, I would be satisfied with that. Now, we're hearing J-Joe might play, Alshon might play, D-Jax might play, but the Eagles are stacked up with injuries. So, again, we're going to have to find ways for these unsung heroes, these no-name guys to step up and be something of value. So my first key to the game is to put pressure on Ben Roethlisberger. We know Ben Roethlisberger and his esteemed value as a quarterback. He's just a pure vet and he's a winner. But now as he starts to get older here, 38 years old, he's not as much of a mobile quarterback anymore. Can't really roam around that much. He's been sacked 5 times this year. But at the same time, we know he's going to be a smart quarterback. This Eagles pass rush that has gotten 8 sacks 2 weeks ago, 5 sacks last week, and has been a big contributing factor for this team winning, has to put excessive pressure on Big Ben. Jim Schwartz has to send the house many times. We have to get this pressure because they're going to run it to James Conner, who is a very young, stable running back, and that's going to open up the pass, and they're going to try to get the ball off quick. And if they're guys who are injured but are practicing this week and look like they'll play, in Juju Smith-Schuster and Deontay Johnson, as long as they play, well, Ben's going to have his targets out there, along with a guy like Eric Ebron, who could have a great game. The Eagles got to make Big Ben uncomfortable. You're not going to see him running all around. You know, Big Ben can move when he needs to, when things collapse and he needs to, but it's not going to be that fast. And I think that Ben prefers now to, at this point in his career, to stay in the pocket, given his speed, given his injury history. Ben prefers to just throw from the pocket, and the Steelers O-line has done a pretty decent job, and he really hasn't had to move that much. I think Jim Schwartz has to continue to disguise blitzes, dial up a lot of different things. The Eagles, if we could win the turnover game again, that would be great. The Eagles had accumulated really no defensive pressure, and then last week they come out and get 2 interceptions. One goes for a key pick 6 to help us win a game, and we got to be strong on the defensive line. Our defensive line works from the inside out. I mean, they are really the leaders, maybe of this entire team. Like, they set the tone. James Conner's also averaging 6 yards a carry almost, and this Eagles defense has to put a stop on him. You know, we got to put a halt. They have a good pass rush. Our pass rush has to be solid, and then we got to get to Big Ben. It really just as simple as that. The Philadelphia Eagles lead the NFL with 17 sacks, and the Steelers are actually second with 15. They probably would be ahead of us if they had played another game. It's going to be a game of the pass rushes right here, honestly. My second key to this game is really just putting together a complete game plan. I feel like on both sides of the ball, more specifically on offense, we still haven't seen, you know, a 4-quarter fully executed game plan. We start off, so even last week we looked terrible in the first half, but then we came to life as we have seen to do with Carson Wentz and some of these no-name guys. But Doug Peterson's got to put together a full game plan. Yet, what we have been doing, what we did last week, is not going to get through past a guy like a Mike Tomlin, who's an established coach, knows what he's doing. He's going to set the pressure, and we have to win this game by just being better. That's really what we have to do. Like I said, we haven't really seen a full game plan. Doug still tends to get away from the run. Miles Sanders has seen his carries drop from 20 to 18 to 13, and a lot of people look at last week and say, well, we ran the ball 28 times, we threw it 28 times. Don't forget that Doug Peterson came out of the second half throwing the ball 9 straight times, and that Miles Sanders and Carson Wentz, Carson Wentz, he ran the ball 7 times, but a lot of those plays were actually designed passes where the pocket just got flushed out, and he had to roll out and take it himself. So I still think Doug Peterson has to kind of realize where he's at in the game, can't let himself get lost up in the mix of things, and he's got to continue to run the ball. You can't have Miles Sanders come out of this game with 13 carries. Even if the Pittsburgh Steelers start to heat things up, the Eagles have to maintain a balanced game plan and really just have to execute. Doug has to continue to put together good drives, make good calls, keep the defense off balance, and continue to implement that creativity. We might even see some more Jalen Hurts this week. And my last key to this game is situational football and leadership. Last week was the first time I was confident with the Eagles going into a big situation. We saw the big touchdown pass, 42 yards from Carson Wentz to Travis Fulgham. We saw those drives, and we saw us make those big plays, the type of plays that win games, whether it's a pick six, whether it's a big interception that flips momentum. We start to saw this team actually make those plays, and I think we got to continue that. I think we got to keep it up. Carson Wentz, if nothing's there, he's got to roll out. He can't hold on to the ball too long, and he's got to make plays with his feet. It just is an element of Carson's game, and you got to let it happen. You got to let it happen. Doug was very aggressive last week. He was very ballsy, going for the 2-point right away. Going for that 4th and 4. That is Doug's style. That is Doug's identity. Maybe sometimes it doesn't seem like the best call, but I think Doug has to continue to keep his foot on the gas pedal. We got to keep pressure on this team. Like I said, Mike Tomlin knows what he's doing. This team has to win by being better, and Doug Peterson can't shy away from the moment. Jim Schwartz can't shy away from the moment. He has to accumulate pressure, and at the end of the day, the Philadelphia Eagles just have to execute in the big moments. We saw what happened when they did last week. We got to continue that this week. I really don't think that we can play scared against these teams. We have to play confident. We do. That's when we're at our best. For my standout Eagles this week, number 1, I'm going with Carson Wentz. We saw what he did last week when he stepped up and made those big plays. This team won. This team won it, and the Steelers are not getting any easier. Obviously, one of the best defenses in the league in terms of stopping the run and in the pass rush. Carson Wentz has to be big this game. He can't miss some of those throws that he's still missing. Throwing balls in the dirt, throwing it over guys' heads. He played a terrible first half last week, but he came back and redeemed himself. I'm looking for him to now build on that. Now that he has established that, he has a lot more confidence, and I think he's going to be able to execute throughout the game. I think Carson Wentz has to have a huge game, and he really has to lead by example. He really has to put his faith up in these receivers. My second standout Eagle for this game is Fletcher Cox. Yeah, I think Fletcher Cox, along with the rest of the D-line, like I said, is going to have to be solid both in the run game and in the pass rush. Fletcher Cox, I think he made a couple key plays last week, and he's starting to step up. Still not at his peak, but he's Fletcher Cox, and he has to lead that defensive line because they rely on him a lot. To be real, when Fletcher Cox plays at his highest level, when he is confident and aggressive, there's really no one that can stop Fletch one-on-one. I think Fletch is going to have to get to Big Ben and knock him, on the ground a couple times. I think Fletch is going to have to play hard, and in terms of James Conner, I think he's going to be able to stuff him a lot, along with former Pittsburgh Steeler Javon Hargrave. So I think this D-line is going to have to be solid, and I think Fletch is going to lead the troops. I really do. As for my breakout Eagle this week, I've kind of been actually spot on the last 2 weeks with Greg Ward and then Crayvon LeBlanc last week. I'm going to go with Deontay Burnett. Now, this might be a bit of a far stretch, but what I've noticed is when a guy like a Travis Fulgham steps up, right, a big touchdown like that, and he was sensational. Well, I don't think Travis Fulgham is going to have the same production as he did last week. He'll still be involved. I think he's still going to see some touches, but I'm expecting another guy, now that they kind of forget about, gets lost up in the midst of everything. Deontay Burnett has been pretty solid, had a great camp. I think this is the Deontay Burnett game. And And for my hot take this week, look, last week I called the Philadelphia Eagles getting a pick six. Very bold move by me, but they ended up doing so, helped them win the game. I think this week the Philadelphia Eagles step up and accumulate 5 or more sacks for the 3rd consecutive game. I think we sack Big Ben, put him on the ground 5 or more times, accumulate a lot of quarterback hits. I think we stuff the line of scrimmage and hold James Conner to under 100 yards. And I think the Philadelphia Eagles also build on last week and get an interception. So I'm going to say 5 or more sacks and an interception this week.
Perfect.
So for my score prediction this week, look, man, it's going to be a tough, tight game either way we look at it. I'm expecting kind of a vibe as similar to last week, one of those tight, tough scoring games. Look, either way you put it, the Philadelphia Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's kind of, you know, a different type of rivalry, a different type of vibe, but there's always that energy that comes when these teams match up. There might even be fans in the stands in Pittsburgh. A lot of people think they're just going to be completely healthy. I think they still have some guys, some major guys dealing with some things, but overall the Steelers are the better team right now, given who is healthy on their team. And they have some elite playmakers. They have, you know, guys like TJ Watt. They have guys like Minkah Fitzpatrick. They have guys like Devin Bush. On their defense, they have one of the best pass rushes. And on the offensive side, you know, you can't ever count out a guy like Big Ben, especially when he's throwing to Juju Smith and Deontay Johnson. And you got a nice young running back like a James Conner. You can never count out a Steelers team, especially headed by Mike Tomlin. However, the Philadelphia Eagles have finally climbed into first place, and I think the Steelers are mentally affected by that week off that they did not expect. I mean, imagine just having a 2-week kind of hiatus here. Look, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are a very good team, and they're well-disciplined. They're a well-disciplined team, but I'm going to pick the Philadelphia Eagles in this game because we're looking at the task at hand. Look, I picked them last week because of the desperation factor. We had to win a game. And looking at this week, the Philadelphia Eagles got to win this game because next week we have a beast coming to town, and that one is not looking too bright. This Philadelphia Eagles team, looking back 4 years ago, took down the Steelers 34-3 under Carson Wentz and Doug Peterson in their rookie year, and I'm expecting them to come out with a nice game plan, and I'm expecting us to finally put it all together and have a great game. Look, I'm going to say the Eagles 26-24 with a late field goal by Jake Elliott to seal the win, and the Eagles move to 2-1 and maintain our place in the NFC East atop of the division. Look, that's just all my thoughts. You guys let me know all your thoughts down below in the comment section. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.
Perfect.